Hey everybody, what is up? It's Dr. Vibe, your host and producer of the Dr. Vibe Show, saying you're blessed and highly favored, a magnet for miracles and a solution for someone's problem, and especially in 2015. Yeah, this is the first Google Hangout we're doing for 2015, so I hope everyone over the holiday season, if you celebrated it, and even if you didn't celebrate it, you had a great time. And as always, if you want to touch base with me, the best way during a show is at DRVIBESHOW. That's me on Twitter. You can also catch a number of the shows, not only of the Good Men Project, where I'm the only online show that's featured on a regular basis, but you also can catch me at my own website, thedrvibeshow.com. So, over the holiday season, I know a lot of people thought that Dr. Vibe just relaxed, took it easy, no problem. No, he was still searching to get people on the Dr. Vibe Show, and we were blessed to find a young lady who's based in Jacksonville, Florida, which is much warmer than where we are in Toronto today. And she's written an outstanding article, and she's going to be sharing with us over the next few minutes. And we have Raine Wheat on our line on the show with us today. She's launched a new website called Fishing with the Fog, which we're going to talk about. And also she's going to work on a documentary titled what is love, a documentary, and she's trying to rope me in to give some definitions of love. She's working on me on that, so we'll see if it happens. But she's embarked on a mission to engage people in the active pursuit of making the world more loving and suitable through film, writing, and acting. She hopes to increase the faith in the individual as well as the humanity as a whole. She's also an actress, and we're going to get into that. I didn't know that about her until she nicely slipped her bio to me a few days ago, because we did talk and chat first. But first things first, Raine, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing outstanding.
Okay, now where'd you get this outstanding thing from?
From Dr. Vibe. I did get it from Dr. Vibe.
There you go. She's outstanding. I must say that Raine has been an outstanding person to share and communicate with over the last few days and leading up to our conversation today. So I am jacked to have you on the show today. So in Dr. Vibe Show tradition, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, etc.?
Okay, well, I've studied acting since I was like 7 years old, and that has led me to do a lot of powerful pieces such as Intizaki's Shanghai for colored girls who considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. I hope I said that title right.
You're better. I didn't want to try to pronounce the name of that person, so I'm glad you did it.
And then I did George C. Wolfe's The Colored Museum, and I was lucky to do A Players by the Sea is one of our top theaters in Jacksonville, In the Blood by Suzanne Laurie Parks. And those pieces are very transformative, and they taught me a lot about our culture and how art is used as a medium to showcase, our platforms that we want, criticize society in a very loving way. I've also studied writing. I got to study writing at the University of Florida alongside advertising. And I got to work on women's issues, and erect plays such as the Vagina Monologue to raise funds for women's rights. And I also was able to use those skills to go further into journalism and communicate online.
Fantastic. So this love of writing, was it something that started with you at a young age, and do you remember some of the pieces that you wrote at a young age?
Yes, it did. My mom is a college professor. So one of the things she did when I was young, she put a computer in my room in the
Wow.
so I got to where I went to entertain myself was straight to the computer. And when we first started out with the computer, the internet was very basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so all I had was like this little word, and I got to type and write. And so I was writing, books to entertain myself at age 7. And I would take the writings to my mom. It developed into such a passion that on days when I did not want to go to school, it was because I had stayed up till 3 in the morning writing.
Hold on now.
um,
Mom let you stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning, or did you do this without her knowing? Okay, you
I
don't have
would
to
say
answer
it's a
that.
mixture. I would say that I had a very weird sleep schedule, so I would get up when I woke up, and everybody else would be asleep, and I would write.
Okay.
Um, but the thing was, my mom had instilled in me such a love for learning that learning was natural. So even when I wasn't at school, I was still pursuing learning. I was reading and highlighting my textbooks on my own. And so I had a very high GPA. Um, and I was taking that initiative without being told by my mom, without being yelled at or told by the teachers. And the teachers even supported my endeavors because they didn't know, even though I would come in late or I they knew that I was going to excel.
Right.
Um, and so,
Good. Good. Now, you took this initiative on your own, but your mother did set up the environment for you to succeed, correct?
oh yeah, she did. I think like reading is very important in the children's basic years. Um, I remember Dale Carnegie talking about using one example of how parents got their child to pursue a love of learning um, by the parents sitting down on the ground and saying showing how much fun they were having finger painting and then asking the kids, see, this is what you'll get to do if you go to kindergarten. You'll get to have so much fun like we're having. And
Right.
so, yeah, the kid buys into that idea. And then soon enough, he's wanting to go to kindergarten because he can finger paint like mom and dad. So,
Nice. Nice. So it sounds like public school was easy for you. Was junior high, high school also not a challenge for you?
no, it wasn't. Not really.
So, and is it the same thing in college too?
No, it wasn't. My mom, another thing that my mom was very good at, she picked where we lived based off the school systems. So I
Oh,
went to the top schools in the nation at the time. They were the top schools, and
wow.
it fed me into University of Florida. Yeah, I learning, and even now, learning is a lifelong pursuit. I just discovered that learning never ends. Just because you graduate and no longer are in school, you're supposed to be constantly training yourself. And so that was a lesson that as a filmmaker and as an actress, you don't just go out in the field and think, oh, I'm the next Spike Lee.
Right.
Tomorrow I'm going to spend like 3 grand and put up my film and get a bunch of the actors, and the next thing I know, I'm going to be big stuff. No, day one it starts in a classroom, or it starts on set or out in the streets, learning about lighting, learning about how to communicate with people, learning sales techniques, because you got to persuade these people into taking part in your project, and they're not getting paid. So you got to inspire them. Um, it takes collaborating skills if you don't know how to work with others, and just tone down the ego a little bit so that they can shine and be more willing to work with you and lecture you. I will say a lot of people who know more, they're going to give you the straight truth, and that's the beautiful thing about people is that they love you, but they're not going to soften the truth if they want you to be better, like your best friend would. Oh, that dress looks nice. That dress looks hideous. No, um, they're going to tell you the straight truth, and I like that about forming bonds with people I don't know who are willing to train me and take me on and teach me. Uh,
I want to just continue to discuss a little bit about growing up. You had mentioned that your mother sent you to like the best schools, etc. Did you appreciate that at that time? Because obviously now you do appreciate it, but when you were at that age, younger, did you appreciate being enrolled in some of the finest high schools or finest schools in America?
I will say that because of my background, I didn't know, I couldn't really appreciate um, what was happening at the time. It's it just seemed normal for what my mom did, and she didn't even do it with tons of resources, which is amazing. I'm one of three kids. She found the best public school in the nation and the best art schools, and put me in um, classical in choruses where I was able to sing with the boys choir who traveled around the world, and in churches and on concert halls with the orchestras, and I played the violin. And she was a single mother. Um, so I didn't really think about it until recently, um, when I was listening to Napoleon Hill and Dale Carnegie, and they talking about the importance of acquiring skills and the importance of education. Um, and then, like, really, if I want something, I'm going to go and acquire it. I'm not going to look at where I am today and how I lack knowledge right now, because I see the brain as something you can train, something that can still grow and acquire knowledge throughout our entire lifetime if we invest the energy to maintain that brain. I see it as a muscle, and so thinking about it now, the skills that I acquired and the mindset I have today, the skills that I acquire today is due to being in that school and that environment, which puts such an emphasis on learning, um, and such a high expectation on the person themselves to learn. We did complain about it a lot because our GPAs were you had to struggle for that little 3.0 you wanted. But
Absolutely.
yeah, in a normal school, we would have been the top of our classes. But then you're looking at people who were having 4.6s and accumulate. You're competing against that. Actually, at the at a great college, the mindset. I do not think we're like tapping what man or individual people can do in education. So I don't know.
Problem, no problem. So college was not difficult. And just connect me back on what did you major in college?
I did advertising and a minor in English, and I studied theater while there too. So I focused it.
Yeah.
But
So now to me, that's a little bit of everything because there's the advertising side, which is a lot of writing, which you like to do, and then there's the theater side. When you came out, did you want to focus on one of those things getting out of college?
I will say that my mindset was to get a job out of college.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and that to me can be, well, you want to be able to support yourself. You're not going to pursue your dream. I mean, achieve your dreams if you can't support yourself. But I wish I would have been prepared to truly understand how much you need to focus on what you really want to do and the skills that you have that you're really good at. My first job out of college, I was trying to pursue advertising and sales and marketing. I tried to pursue that because that's what my part-time jobs were in college, and that was where my resume was. And so I got a sales position in logistics. And though I was good at customer service and connecting with the client and building a book of business, that wasn't my strength. And I knew that because you had 24-year-olds who were earning 96,000, and there was just it was natural. So yeah, it was natural for them. They pick up the phone and they said what they needed to say, and they put that phone down. It wasn't a struggle, and I looked around at that situation. I was like, I need to find the environment or work towards that environment where it's going to be natural for me, so I don't have to come in and struggle in fear whether my job is going to be there the next day or have panic attacks. Because a lot of people were having panic attacks on that.
So what was the first job you got?
It was account executive at PLS Logistics.
Okay, and how did that go?
It went well. It taught me um, it taught me the business mind. I mean, these were very left brain people. There was a certain way they talked. I was lucky enough to get to meet the CEO and the founder of the company at a dinner, and the way he maneuvered himself at a party, like I was lucky to land and be one of the few people who was able to bring a client in my class to a party. Um, and then my CEO, he walked up to my client. He just got straight down to business with questioning how much money or profits is your business moving, talking in terms of shipments, so that he could analyze, okay, um, how much worth can they bring out of it? Because we make money off of the shipments. Like if I had a trucker, if my client was willing to move my shipment for 2 grand, but I found a trucker who would do it for 1,000, of course, I
Yes.
made
Yep.
a
Yep.
thousand. Yeah. So that's what he was looking at, and he also asked about the branches, so he could see, okay, where are you established? Okay, I can get to Texas. I can get that branch. I can use this man to get to California. And there was no fear, so it taught me how to communicate. Um, I was managing my own book of business, so it taught me how to multitask. And it led to my current job, which I work as a researcher in for a logistics magazine and research company. So
But
yeah,
that so how long did you spend at that logistics account exec position? And while you were doing that, were you still pursuing your love of theater and also writing, or did you put it aside for a while?
I have put it aside because my focus had been on to to pursue making money. Um, and that's and so I wasn't really able to really get back into it until after I left those companies, um, and just really again get back in the community and studying theater and trying to get roles. So yeah, it dwindled. The
No, so
passion.
yeah, so when did the energy or the thought process to get back engaged into theater start?
Hmm. So yeah, it was really funny. It was a funny period. I had a boyfriend who passed away.
Oh, my condolences.
I know. Well, okay, I smile about it now because he's such a good memory in my life.
Okay.
Uh, but when he was 27, and I looked at it, and I remember like when the night before he passed away, he was like making some huge changes in his life um, that he was really proud of, um, and then he's gone the next day, no reason, and you're like, you start to look at life a little differently, and so it became then I used those emotions to say, well, the time is now, really, because we're not, we think we're promised tomorrow, um, but it's a blessing. I mean, people, it's an opportunity. The time is now, and we're sort of like God. It's like He gave us. I mean, we say time is money. Well, God is spending money on us by giving us life, and are we wasting His money? so, so
Oh
the,
my.
no. And so, yeah, I used that and I got back. Actually, after his death, my mom and my brother, I live in Jacksonville with them. They were they used that period to say, okay, you're not going to sit here and mourn. You're going to go out and get a role. And I got my first role. Um,
Wow.
um, and well, it was my first role ever, but it had been my first role since having graduated college. And that led to another role. It led to another role. And then I got a job that really um, was really using my skill set. That's why I put an emphasis on having a career where you are good at is not such a, I mean, a job where you're not being drained emotionally, or you're not having to fight to become something you're not, because that extra energy you get, not only can you advance yourself and be good for the company, but also you can come home with a smile on your face and have the energy to do what you really want to do. And so um, I would not, the importance of making your day count, and being surrounded by things you love, things you are able to push yourself, or things that challenge you, and that don't kill you unknowingly, is very important.
Okay. So you get back into the acting. You get a number of roles. Where did the writing start again? Because it's very interesting that I see you have diverse interests from the acting to the writing to the logistics. Where did the writing come back into prominence during this after you graduated from college?
The writing came back. It came back because I had the time to write. It's very writing is fun. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy. It's like when I write, I am for that time period. I am taken to another universe. And when you come back, maybe I started at 5 p.m. and next thing I know, it's 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, I have the time with with my new job, and then seizing that moment after my boyfriend passed away, I started to get back into that. And I also have the emotions there. I feel like I use the pain or what I learned from that time period of my life to fuel me back into writing.
Okay. Well, that's a good segue into us having you discuss about the article that brought you to my attention. The Does the U.S. really believe hashtag All Lives Matter, examining our incarceration rates? Why did you write the article?
I wrote it because I didn't like the conversation happening on Twitter, and I didn't like how the media was portraying it. And I just wanted to tell a different story behind it. Um, I don't know. You're on Twitter all the time.
Once in a while.
Well, at the time when I did my first tweet on the issue, um, and used the hashtag All Lives Matter, and I had like saw this conversation happening, being like, white people want to use All Lives Matter because they're too afraid to say Black Lives Matter, and then I was like, whoa, isn't it true though that all lives matter? Or if I'm trying to connect with someone about an issue I know that really pertains to me, I'm going to try to connect with them um, on their needs. I'm going to try to relate to them. And so I'm not going to say to them, um, take an interest because I have um, I have something I need to get done. I would say, look at what we could achieve, or look at how you could benefit. You know, you want a stronger workforce. You want our GDP to increase or whatever it is. I don't know much about business. You
Right.
want more innovation in society. You want the crime rates to go down. So let's look at what's leading to this, or look at things that we can do to make this happen. You see that we have half the black male population sitting in jail. Or not half the black male population, but half of the prison population, just black men, um, in their 20s and 30s sitting in jail. We need people with skills to work these jobs to boost our economy. We need a strong knowledge base. And here we have men in our 20s and 30s just rotting away that the U.S. has to pay for. Isn't that a burden? Do you want to pay for that? I mean,
No,
that
yeah,
is,
that's quite the chore.
yeah. And so I looked at the conversation. I saw that they were picking out individual cops. Um, and we all know we become the system that we're in.
Yeah, it's very
It
true.
is not. It is these men who are pulling the trigger. They're the face of it, but they're not the root of it. And
Okay.
so I didn't like the images. I thought that was going to be. I didn't like the way they were saying it, and I also didn't like the division it was causing. But what I did like was the unity it was causing. I did like the frustration it was causing, and I did like um, the uh, the push for change. I mean, the people who are out there protesting, um, the images you got, uh, it re-inspired youth, whether it was to put on a T-shirt or to
Right.
lay in the street in front of cars or whatever they did, or to even tweet.
Yeah.
Um, it inspired people, and I was inspired by it to write the article. Because the truth is, if you really want change, if you really want black men to not be shot in the street, it does have to take it has to take a transformation of the system that is praying or allowing this to happen. Um, and firing these men and putting them out on the front of newspapers to be called names, or have their jobs taken away. I mean, one or two men or three men that you fire, um, is it really going to stop it? Or I don't know. I had that question in my head, and I really wanted to know why. Um, that I feel like our newspaper should talk more about why this is happening,
It's
and go
more
in depth in that.
more about why and less about the how, right?
Yeah, I want to know why. I want to know what's leading to this. I want in-depth reporting on these issues. I don't want just the surface that I had a black boy who was shot by a cop. Um, I want to know why. And then I wanted to know, okay, so if these black boys are being shot by the cops, and the cops are saying, well, it's the highest crime, we don't have time to, baby these men, and if I'm going to run in, I need to shoot or protect myself. I wanted to know, okay, well, why are these black men, or why do they cops feel they need to target? Is the crime rate done by the black men really that high? Is it a lie? And so I just started Googling the research. And to my surprise, there's a wealth of information people are publishing on this subject. And it's sort of like led a trail to the incarceration rates in poverty.
Hmm.
That we have a great percentage of the black population impoverished. Um, and poverty is linked to crime. Some research studies say that if you are able to decrease poverty, you will decrease the crime rate. A lot of our black males and black families, especially single parents, are impoverished. Um, so I saw really, um, really a need to decrease the poverty, to educate, empower them with skills. Um, I, though, was led to write about the incarceration rates because it just stunned me the many the amount of black men that are in jail, um, and nobody was bringing that up really in the discussion. I didn't see an article or I didn't notice anybody saying, "Hey, wait a minute, we have a few black men that are dying in the streets, but we have 1.5 million black men that are rotting away in jail during their best years career wise." So that means when they're in jail 20 and 30, when they get out, they have to start at 35 or 40 building um,
Their
the
lives.
skills. Yeah, building life. I started my career at 21. I have about what 5 years of work experience and skills I can tell a resume an employer about because they don't care really about my degree so much anymore. They want to know, okay, what have you done? And if I'm been spending that time in jail, luckily though, I think our jails have some libraries. They can. I think they get. Do they get access to the internet?
I guess so. Let me. I just want to make a suggestion. Can you move your camera down just a little bit? That's better.
Okay.
That's better because we can see you. Yeah, that's much better. We want to see all of that wonderful face of yours. That wonderful face. That's much better. I want to ask in regards to this issue. What do you feel are some of the solutions to this issue that you wrote about?
Well, I really feel that individuals in our society today are going to have to invest their time and their resources, money wise, to mentor and educate. So I think charity, philanthropy. I don't know how much you can rely on our government or our state to. I think they can pass good policy, but it's going to be us who really makes a difference.
What
Um,
what who do you mean by us?
let's say like you have the Big Brother and Big Sister programs. Those are just specific ways. Um, we become. It goes back to my mom knew if she wanted well-educated children who pursued excellence, she put us in an environment that called for excellence. Um, she also knew if she wanted to raise someone who loved reading and education, to put a computer in the room, to put learning toys in the room. She tried to change. She changed the environment, which changed me. It was no longer a battle. I just walked out the door. I had nothing to do. I had to read. So it goes with that same mindset. Young men need successful young men so that they can learn what success is. Um, they can people who pride learning, people who are like them, So young women need that also. So black families who are impoverished don't usually aren't connected to successful people who know how to network, who know how to sell themselves. They do have access to resources that can train them to write a resume, but the resume templates that you get on Google are just nothing compared to what people are turning in today. And then the networking skills, you don't get a job off your resume anymore. You get a job off the networking events and the networking, uh, your network. Your network's going to lead you to employment. And so, like, people are saying college isn't as valuable anymore. Well, those are where established people are. And so that is, yeah, it's valuable for your network. And I have lots of friends who will go to that master's degree program because they know that that is going to put them in the environment where the professionals are, and they can utilize that. That's one thing like high school did not teach me is the importance of selling yourself and networking that PLS logistics did later teach me.
All right. So for those, you had said for those who need it, they should get help, they should get mentorship. Be,
Yeah, I think it's one of the ways. I think it's going to take way more than just mentorship. I think it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. Um, I noticed like a lot of there are alternative programs. I think that our system's going to have to start using a lot more alternative programs or rehabilitation programs to decrease to so when these men, if you're going to set them out on the street, what skills are they going to have, life skills that are going to allow them to be productive in the society tomorrow? Are they going to be good fathers? um, because they are, they're men. They're going to go out and do what men do. Are they going to be able to hold a job and be a good worker? um, if they can't get a job, are they going to be able to figure out how to make money on their own? Because you don't need an employer to make money. You just need to understand how money works and be able to do that. I've had one friend, oh my gosh, he is so hilarious. He, in between jobs, I don't know why I think it's probably a fear, but in between jobs, he can make money. He can make as much money as his employer pays, but he doesn't want to dedicate his time to that. So I don't know why, but yeah, if you know how to make money or you understand how money works, if you can't get a job, that's not the end of the world for you. So
okay.
will they have those skills? Um,
So with the situation with the incarceration rates in the United States right now and a large number of black men in those facilities, what do you feel, if anything, needs to change in regards to the justice system, or suggestions of the changes in the justice system, if any?
oh, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You had mentioned that with the incarceration rates, and that's what your article is about. Do you feel or have any suggestions that could be for the justice system in order to help resolve this issue of so many black men in prison in the United States?
Do I have any suggestions?
Yes.
I think while these men are sitting in jail, um, I think you need to provide for them the ones that are going to release a vision um, for training them for the future, for their future. I mean, so are you asking? You're asking how to prevent them from getting in jail or
Yeah.
increasing the population while they're in there?
I guess it's a two-part, and the way you've just responded in this conversation piece, I guess I'm looking at, do you have any suggestions of prevention of black men being part of the system, and then also, pardon me, what can help them after they get out of the system, of the incarceration system?
prevention, you know that mindset that it does take a village to raise a child.
Yep.
I feel like people who are successful, when they have the time and the money, when they have gotten themselves situated, they will have to return to lift up their brothers and sisters.
So,
Um,
Ray, let me just interrupt you then. What do you feel is the state of the village concept as we're starting a new year? Is it strong? Does it need help? Excuse me. Where do you feel that village concept stands right now?
I feel like it's not as strong as I would say the community wise.
Yeah.
I feel like if we utilize what the media is putting out there to grab hold and remind people that we do need each other, because the media does is doing that when they're putting up the pictures of protesters and the people in the t-shirts, and they're showing prominent black leaders returning back to Ferguson to stand and showcase their beliefs and bring importance. I think like the messages is there. I
Right.
think you can easily get a platform if you are established to speak on this issue and bring light to how much we need the village concept. But outside of that, I think it's really hard. Um, I don't think people are as united as they want to be, and I say as they want to be because I'm working on a documentary called What Is Love. When I approach people in the street to get their definitions, it's really easy. A lot of the time, majority of the time, if I ask 5 people, I'll get 2 no's maybe. The rest of them, they're all gun ho. They're all inspired by the idea of sharing this definition and inspiring other people. So I don't think people want to be separated from each other. I feel like they feel though that they are and are less likely to do that. Um, I think people do care generally about each other. They are just less likely to express that unless asked.
Okay.
um, and I think people are a lot afraid um, of each other. I don't understand it, but I think there is a fear of each other that is there. So I don't think the village concept is as strong, even though it needs to be stronger to resolve issues like this. Um,
What sort of reaction have you had to the article?
I've had a very positive reaction. People and but again, I'm in a circle of journalists when I publish this, and when I talk about these issues, I'm surrounded by people who care. So yeah, they really liked it. They were positive. They were like, yeah, of course, of course. When I did take it to I did try to speak to someone. I'm in a prayer group, and I did try to speak to someone about the issue, and she just talked about it as in, of course, the stuff exists, and that's it. Um, but I feel like again, it's that separation. Yeah, it's happening, but that's not what I'm concerned with right now. And so it's not like she doesn't care, and it's not like if I needed her to pick up a protest sign and you saw it across the street, I couldn't drag her over there to get her to do it. But it's that issue has nothing really to do with me right now in my situation, so I'm not going to go out there and care as much. So yeah, I had a really good reaction from people who care about the issue.
Great, fantastic. You you also when you're reading the article, and when I'm reading the article, seeing the cost of incarceration in the United States, like you give here a total of it costs like $31,286 a year per prisoner annually. But do you feel there's a strong deterrent because the prison system is such a big business in the United States. It's a huge business. Do
Oh
you
yeah.
feel do you feel there is, how can I say, enough reason or enough people advocating wanting change to stop those who are making so much money from the incarceration system in the United States?
No. See, that's a very actually that's a very intelligent question because it really it is like two different forces going. There's people who want the incarceration rates to stay the same because they are making a lot of money off of it.
Right.
But you also have people like us. It should be that we want this to end because we're not making any money off of these high incarceration rates. We're paying for it, whether we're paying for it through our taxes, we're paying for it in our communities, we're paying for it in our school systems, we're paying for it as men and women with mates who to marry or people to be leaders to our children or the safety of our children. I was amazed at how many men are in jail, and it's not just black men. It's like 40% of white men by age 23 would be arrested. One news article said that. To me, what are we trying to say? What need are we not meeting with our men um, that that this is happening? Um, is it television? Is it lack of education? Is it where we're putting our values?
I think that's a very good question that needs to be examined, and I know it is, but we need to examine on a continuous basis with black men. Why is it, or what is the black community? Is there something they're not providing? And as a result of not providing this, is that one of the root causes of the high rates of black American men and let's include black American women too in the prison system?
Yeah, I really do think that that question needs to be asked, and that we should be fighting to ask that question with everyone we can, and that we need to realize that we have more children than the ones that came from us or that live under our roof. If we want a very successful society, if we want black people, black men to be lifted up as a nation, black women to be empowered, we're going to have to step outside of ourselves, and we're going to have to go back to these communities. I know that the saying is like, look at how communal or how Asians stick together. Um, how they give like businesses and they just pass them on down and they really invest in each other. We say that because we want that for ourselves or we really admire that. Well, we need to pass businesses down to each other, hire each other, support each other, start projects. I think we need to include white people in the discussion, but like you said, with the incarceration rates, it's a big business. That is also speaking for this, and they're making money off of it. There are people who have desires for the system to stay the way it is because they benefit from it. I don't know if anybody have read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes, well,
Uh,
yeah, before we close out, I wanted to touch base on that because where did you get the drive or the knowledge or the questioning to read books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, and also you've mentioned Dale Carnegie a number of times during our conversation, and even before you came on air in the conversations we had, you mentioned Dale Carnegie. How did you find out about these books, and why have they become so important to you?
I found out these books are all on YouTube, and then I listened to them on YouTube. I went and bought them. My mom also she built a library with these books, so they were always on the shelf. It's just did not have the fortitude at the time to go and read them. I started in the romance section, and then got bored with that.
Okay, being honest, being honest.
But I was looking at myself in a couple years ago. I went through a transformation. God took me on a very deep journey and told me I need to. He examined me, which led me to examine myself. Um, and I realized that I was missing that there's two games being played in the workforce. There's the games that the elite is playing, and they're well connected, they're well established, and there's the game everybody else is playing. Um, I wanted to be in the game with the elites, and so I needed to develop the mindset. So to do that, I decided to pursue books that taught those skills, and I'm still doing it. I started with Dale Carnegie and Napoleon Hill because everybody talks brilliant. They say great things about them, and so that's where my desire came.
Excellent. Well, Ms. Raine, thank you for taking some time to share with us today. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like or closing comments that you'd like to make before we let you go enjoy some of that 83-degree Fahrenheit weather?
Oh, well, thank you so much for watching me. I'm just in the beginning of my career, but I'm inspired by people. I'm inspired by learning from people. I'm seeing love for one another, even though there's a lot of things or mediums that are saying we don't love each other. We do. We care about each other, and I'm inspired by that. And I hope to continue trying to work and showcase that. And I hope to continue to meet brilliant people. Um, and y'all should be too. So bye.
Hey, before we let you go, how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, you can connect with me on Twitter at my handle is at Raine Wheat. You can connect with me on Facebook. You can connect with me on Tumblr, WordPress, Google Plus, LinkedIn. So yay!
You're right into the social media game, right?
Yeah, you gotta be.
Well, it is a decision. You don't have to be, but it is a
Oh
decision.
yeah.
Okay, well, that's good stuff. Well, Raine, thank you so much for taking time to share with us on the show today. We're wishing you continued success. And as always, the mic is open and the screen is open anytime you want to be on the Dr. Vibe show. You're listening and watching the Dr. Vibe show. I'm your host and producer, Dr. Vibe. I'm also host and co-producer of the show, which is on once a month at the Goodman Project site, goodman.com. Oh, and Raine's having technical difficulty there. Okay. And also, you can catch a number of my shows at thegoodmanproject.com, also at selected shows at other sites. So, as always, you like to say you're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles and you're a solution for someone's problem. God bless, peace be well, and keep the faith. And again, have an outstanding, we're speaking of an outstanding 2015. Bye-bye.